Alright, this is supposed to be like a blacksmith shop. Water yoke. Got some free coal here. I met a man named Bob Simonson. I think they're talking about this thing. It's got to be another Bob Simonson though. A brace? But this is a drill. But they're also calling this a handmade brace. A brace? It's a drill. Unless if it's, I don't know. 1940 International and Caliper Plow from the National Forest. Don't climb on the truck. But we can at least open her up and see the garbage they threw in. Is that real? That looks so fake. It looks like it's just a picture. Tires are a little low. And they're hauling a plow. I think this is another plow. I was in the CCC museum. There's just a ton of things to look at for free, which is very mind-boggling. Is this accurate for a teepee? It looks like it could be. Ooh. Oh. They have to use really thick pine and several of them, and they're arranged and held together. I'm not quite sure how. I don't see. It's got to be a string of some kind. Amazing. Looks like some copper tanks for fire. Wow, imagine driving a fire truck all exposed like that to the end. Yeah. Exposed to the elements. Compound. Huh. So on this old horse-drawn fire wagon, they have the horses in the front. Oh, 1887. And they have the bell on the front. Maybe somebody bangs it manually. Here it is. Somebody hits it with their foot. Whoa. I only hit it once. Wow. Thing goes nuts on one press. A ton of different kinds of motors now no longer being used. What a waste. Wooden boat. $19.29. Alright, I never gave this much thought before, but motors change the shape of boats. This is a canoe. It's tapered on either end. And I'm looking at this one, and it almost looks like a canoe. When they started making boat motors, they had to start making the backs more flat and not pointy like a canoe. I just never gave it much thought before. This is an early wooden boat, almost looking like a canoe, but they had to make end for the motor instead. So as part of a larger kitchen, they kept a hot water barrel, and it's connected by pipes to this kitchen wood fire stove. Amazing. The water somehow got into the hot water barrel. It's heavy. This is the largest potato masher I've ever seen for mashing potatoes. Pie fork. Donut lifter.
Going on,
Hey, excuse me, can you just help me understand how do people know to say wake up Hodag and then it growls? Because you're hitting the button? Okay. I kind of thought so, I just.
Nope, I'm hitting the button to make it roar.
Yeah. Old canoe completely carved out of a tree. Wow, how long does that take? Yeah, it's pretty cool here. Still more to see. Ding ding. Starting to see this phone more. Is that a northern thing? Alright, I checked out the entire museum. Read everything, learned a lot. I have a deeper understanding of the CCC Corps, Civilian Conservation Corps, and I think they suppressed a lot of information, if there were murders, if there was crime, I think they suppressed it all. I've never seen any reports of even accidents, really. You know, they had that happen with young guys, young teenage boys, all grouped up together, sleeping together. They talked about pulling pranks on each other, but I know things had to have gotten worse. Is this something to be proud of? The zoning ordinances seem to have focused on concentrating people into the cities. It wasn't like people just naturally gravitated to the cities. They were kind of forced by regulation. All right, I was at the CCC camp in Rhinelander, and I think it's called Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, that ran from about 1932 or 1934 to like 42 or something. It was nine years. It ran for 9 years, and it took in somewhat young boys from eight. It said the range is 18 to 25, but I guess they accepted some older guys too. But from what I looked at these on the records in Rhinelander at the CCC camp, which the demonstration area, there is a building that they had all this information, pictures to really educate people about the old CCC camps. The Rhinelander has the most I've ever seen, at least for a free CCC museum, and I learned more than I ever have about it. I've been to other like sites. I think it was a site in Texas that I was at, that they had signs. You could walk around like a park, and they had signs have with pictures and then the description of what used to be in certain places, because this was um, a national movement signed by FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president, to get some young men employed for a temporary period of time, earning $30 a month, and I think it looked like, well, they were young guys, and it looked like the most popular age to take them in, because I don't know if they were forced, actually. See, there's some information that's sketchy about it, and that's what I wanted to get into. I don't think they were forced into the CCC, but the age range may have been up to 25, but I think it was more of a late teen type of thing. And I saw two records that showed two guys who were in for less than a year. Like one guy was 11 months, another guy was like 9 or 10 months service towards the end of 1930s, like 1937. They were in for a fairly short time, at least to experience a winter, all together in a hut, sleeping together in this barracks, very military like. It felt very military like, looking at all the pictures and stuff, but without the guns. Instead, they use other tools for hacking away at the forests, and apparently replanting trees as well. But I mean, they lived through the winters together, slept in these barracks together. These young men, full of energy. I guess if they're poor men, and they're strangers. I think they put it this like joining the military. You just kind of group up strangers together to live with each other, with some military like discipline, and maybe some of them later join the military. This is a conservation corps that was focused on doing battle against nature, or at least in some ways. I mean, a lot of their tools that you see are tools of destruction, with the axes and the saws and chopping away at things. But they also turned around and replanted trees, and that's the thing about the CCC, is that the government really put a strong effort in trying to make it look like this perfect this perfect like like department, the militarized department. And I think they probably withheld a lot of unfavorable news that came out of this, because it's like in between prison and the military for these young guys, in my opinion. And the only and there's certainly going to be some dysfunction, but I spent an hour in that building just looking at everything. And the only dysfunction that's reported were some guys talking about pulling pranks on each other. One, like, for example, nailed somebody else's shoes into the floor, or put shaving cream in somebody's shoes. And then if there was disagreements, they would settle their disagreements in the boxing ring. They would have like a boxing. I don't know how many, if all the camps had that, but they said there was a boxing ring that they would settle their disagreements in, and that was it. That's as far as like criminal behavior, deviance. As far as that was concerned, I mean, there must have been a lot more going on. These guys are swinging axes. These guys had a lot of sharp tools to play with. All right, in to I don't know if they were checked out like guns, if they had an armory for the tools. But there was certainly more going on than just little pranks of nailing a shoe into the floor. That's pretty serious, I would think. So how were criminal actions dealt with? How was crime on the CCC camps? It's just hard to believe that they all got along perfectly well together. It's all these strange guys in their late teens, early 20s, uh, spending a few months knowing it's short term, making some easy money, getting bored, possibly. It was all white guys, so that might have a impact on how they got along. I didn't see any black guys in any of the pictures that I've seen. They just I mean uh you would think, I mean, in the northern region, this is Wisconsin where I saw all these pictures, so it's going to be more white people anyway. Really, no black people live in the winters. They don't deal with the winters as effectively. So I wondered about the crime, and it's very possible that information is suppressed by the government. If there was a murder, they may have called it an accident. Uh, it, um, if there was a fight, uh, yeah, they just don't report it. How would the medical staff reports a serious injury? How would the coroner, if a boy died on the CCC camp, which I'm sure some may have died. I mean, either by suicide, murder, or an accident. There must have been some dysfunction going on. There was quite a few camps across the nation, but to report on what actually happens, uh, any serious things that happens, would have made for even one murder. All it would take is one murder for the news to focus on, to just totally uh, make the CCC camp look bad. And that's kind of why I think that it only lasted 9 years, is because there was probably a few murders that happened that the government said, okay, that's enough. We don't want anybody to know about this, and we're going to end this program. Because 9 years is an odd year, just like these boys whose certificates I seen, certificates of release that I seen. They didn't stay a full year. They stay, like the 9 months and the 11 months. I thought that was weird. They weren't committed to, but they still got certificates at the end, but for odd number of months. It wasn't a real dedicated a full term year like you're in the military. You have to stay until the last minute. You're committed to the last minute of your agreement. But I don't think it was that way for the CCC. The boys could leave whenever they want, and then the government just kind of ended it at 9 years. Uh, and I mean, from what I see on all the reports and stuff, I guess I could have read more, but they had, some had their own newspapers, some had a yearbook, uh, um, that they'd give, for maybe you'd buy a yearbook for the year with everybody's picture in it, and some of the activities they did, playing in the water, and sports teams, and maybe building a bridge, or just hacking away at the forest and for clearing a forest out in some way. I would guess that the primary activity was forestry. They're the Civilian Conservation Corps, and usually conservation is focused on forest activities. So I think they were focused on that. Um, but there must have been some mental health issues for some of them people. They all looked healthy. I mean, not like today. Uh, not there. I didn't see any fatties. I didn't see any fat guys in any of the pictures. They all look slim. Maybe they tended to lean towards being underweight, but still, that's a little bit better to suffer with deficiency more than an excess, as we could see how people are suffering today. But this little government program uh, is very questionable on how they conducted themselves. And I mean, this is old. This is an old program, so whatever reports they got have to be public information now. This is a federal program, so they must have federal records on it. I'm only seeing information from Rhinelander and Wisconsin. They got a lot of yearbooks and logs and stuff from what for Wisconsin. Maybe some states had a bigger share of the conservation activity than others. I mean, Wisconsin is one of the most thickly forested states in the country. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I think this is a teen section.
Hannah. I love it when we
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and still need the number?
Hey, I got a question.
224.
Is the microfilm room closed for quarantine for the old COVID or for the new one?
Oh, that's.
It said it's quarantine. Then I'm assuming that's because it's
Someone's in it on Wednesday, someone uses it.
it's not quarantine.
No.
Do you have one of these?
Well, I'm asking about the one that's quarantined, but
There's not a microphone room anymore.
there's not.
No.
Oh, I maybe I misread that then. It's just this door over here.
No. To get turned off. There's magnets.
Excuse me, sorry. Okay, microfilm room is closed for quarantine purposes.
I was going now.
What?
Sign.
It's the old COVID?
It's an old sign, yes.
Okay.
There's not even.
All right, I was just wondering if you're preparing for the new COVID.
No.
But
There's not even a microfilm machine in that room. It's been moved to this room. That's storage.
It's just storage, yeah.
Just take it
Okay.
down. Because
Well, no, the new COVID's coming up. You might as well
Well,
be
there's not
prepared
even-
for it,
well,
right?
there's not a microfilm machine in this room, so it's not
Oh,
used for
well, you
microfilm.
just blank out the microfilm part.
Well, this is actually just not
Oh,
open for public use. It's
Well, then that's why you have the close sign.
well, the microfilm used to be in here, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
not anymore.
so you could just blank out the microfilm part.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It's closed.
Yeah, but it's
And now
it's still-
people will think it's open.
It's just storage. It's just storage.
Well, then maybe you could just put a storage sign.
We'll probably add storage.
Okay, and also I'm curious about is that a community room, like just kind of people walk in and use their computers, or is there a meeting right now? Because I see somebody sitting in there using his computer. I'm wondering if he's waiting on a meeting,
So this that room is our library space, and so
co-working.
co-working space. Yep. So you can go in and use your device, but it's only during the summer. So it'll.
Oh,
end on
today's the
August
last day?
30th. Well,
Is today Thursday?
today's the 30th.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow's the 31st.
And then you take that sign down, and then what does it turn into?
A community room that you can reserve, but
Oh.
if it's a nonprofit, then it's a free to reserve. If it's not a nonprofit, then it's
But right
$25.
now it's just kind of no appointments are set.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and there's tables in there where you can work.
Yeah. All right. I saw. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.